wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Piledriver Weekly. My name is Electric Eric Davidson, and this is my co-host, Mr. Ace Larson. And as usual, we're going to get things kicked off with OVW this week. Alright, OVW this week. To kick the show off, we see backstage, kind of in the darkness, three members of the Coalition sitting there. We got Crimson, Jason Wayne, and Joe Coleman, and they're talking about their war on OVW, and they say there will be more casualties. Then GM Michael Hayes comes out to the ring, and he talks about what it really means to be in the military. And for those of you who don't know or don't watch OVW, Michael Hayes is a veteran. He's a legit former military guy. As a matter of fact, he lost a leg in
is that Afghanistan or Iraq?
I believe in Iraq, and he was in a convoy, and I guess he was in a Hummer or a tank or whatever, and they hit a bomb, and basically everybody was killed but him.
Yeah, I've seen him wrestle a lot before.
And this is a true story. This isn't a wrestling storyline. And I spoke to Michael Hayes one time, sat there and had a good conversation with him. Really super nice guy, and I thanked him for his service and his sacrifice and everything. And you could tell he was really grateful. And so I'm a big fan of his. He's been playing the GM role here. But anyhow, he comes out and he talks about what it's like to really be in the military. And like I said, I don't know about Crimson or Coleman, but I know Jason Wayne is a former Marine as well. But he says that Rudy and the Mobile Homers will get a shot at any three members of the Coalition tonight. And he's going to have guys standing guard to make sure that the Coalition doesn't get involved in the match. Then we go to a women's match. The current women's champion, Trina, taking on Jessie Bell, another friend of the show here. And Trina gets the win here in a pretty quick match. Jessie Bell had a decent showing, got off some good offense. She had a pretty nice Hurricane Rana there, but she just got overpowered by Trina here. Then we go backstage and we see Hayes. He walks up and thanks Jay Bradley for last week, and he says he's going to need him again this week. But Bradley basically tells him to, kind of shove off. Then we see Eddie Diamond. He's begging Trina to give Epiphany another shot at the Women's Championship coming up at Saturday Night Special, and she agrees. Then we see the VIP, Joe Rosa, sucking up to Doug Williams backstage. I'm not sure what's going on between those two guys. They're in cahoots somehow. Then the current OVW champion, Jamin Alvenzia, comes out to the ring, and he calls out Doug Williams and says he's going to kick the crap out of VIP Joe Rosa, and then Williams too if he wants. Jamin beats on Rosa for a little bit, and Williams is kind of watching. But then, as Jamin turns his back, Williams comes in, and Jamin gets the win by DQ there. And we're going to have a rematch between those two guys for the title at the next Saturday Night Special, which is coming up on Saturday, May 11th. Then we see Heidi Lovelace coming out to the ring, and she's apologizing to Taylor and says she just needs to talk to her. Taylor comes out and says she understands, but I don't think she really does. I don't think she's quite really understanding here. Heidi says she's the only one that cares about Taylor and says she wants to know how Taylor feels. And Taylor's like, she don't even know what to say about that. She says she needs a lot of time to think. Anyhow, so that soap opera continues. Then we have a match between Jesse Goddard and Rockstar Spud for the TV title. A pretty decent match. Spud gets the win here. Then Randy Royal comes out and shoves Spud down, and basically says he still owes him a shot at the title, and he's going to get it next week. So we'll look forward to that. And then we see J. Bradley backstage, and he's just kind of looking at his phone, and the lights go out on him, and you hear him getting beat down. Then the lights come back on, and you see the Coalition like darting off real quick. So another victim falls to the Coalition there. Then it's time for the main event. The Coalition, Jason Wayne, Crimson, and Joe Coleman are out to take on Rudy Switchblade and the Mobile Homers, Ted McNaylor and Adam Revolver. The match starts out as a brawl. It takes a minute for them to get things in order. Then the good guys kind of clean house there. Then we get the guards, which are just a bunch of the OVW scrubs, the jobbers. I'm not sure exactly how effective they're supposed to be, but anyway, they're guarding the entryway there. And finally get the match underway. A pretty good match. A lot of quick tags in and out by the Mobile Homers and Switchblade here. Look pretty good as a team. Of course, you know, the Mobile Homers been together forever as a team. And it looks like Team OVW is on their way to victory here. And then all of a sudden the rest of the Coalition comes out from under the ring. The old under the ring trick there.
I've seen that in a while.
Yeah, I kind of got a kick out of that. They start beating everyone down, and then out comes Rob Terry and our good friend Ryan Howe to try and make the save. And speaking of Ryan, we're going to try to get him on the show before too long here, so stay tuned for that. We're going to try and get him in for an exclusive interview. He's basically agreed to do it. We just got to work our schedules out and everything. So that should be interesting. That don't want to miss that. And we'll let you know when that's going to happen. But the Coalition does end up getting the best of them. And then, you know, Michael Hayes comes out, and he's basically standing alone in front of the whole Coalition, tells them to stop. And, you know, it looks like he's going to have to take them on all by himself. And all of a sudden, the Gilly Man, remember we talked about how I have no idea who the Gilly Man is, and I don't know if this was who was in the suit the whole time, or it was just a swerve at the last second, but the Gilly Man takes off all his gear, and it's Sam Shaw, one of their victims. And, you know, they also took out his tag partner, Alex Silva, and, you know, he cleans house. That was kind of a cool moment there to end the show. So the drama with the Coalition continues, but at least OVW did kind of get a good shot in on him there. And but that does it for this week's OVW. Don't forget, OVW TV tapings every Wednesday at the Davis Arena, 4400 Shepherdsville Road. Bell time 7 o'clock. It's cheap to get in, only like $5. So you know, if you can go check it out, check it out. It's a fun night out. If not, catch them on the Ion Network, WBNA 21 on Saturdays at noon. And also, you can catch them online. They stream their episodes online. So there are a lot of different ways you can catch OVW. And don't forget, Saturday Night Special coming up May 11th. And now we're going to move on to Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor.
Alright, we have Ring of Honor Border Wars live from Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Finally some real wrestling action.
Yeah.
We started off with Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander versus Tadarius Thomas and ACH. Very, very good opening match.
Yeah, I thought it was a real good opener.
A lot of exciting high spots, a lot of off-the-top rope stuff. Both these teams are great athletic teams.
Yeah.
And really exciting match from these two. Caprice and Cedric get the win over Tadarius and ACH. Good opening match. Then we get Roderick Strong versus Mike Bennett, accompanied by the lovely one and only Maria.
Yeah.
What do you think of this match?
Pretty good. You know, Roderick Strong, real good worker, and Mike Bennett's getting there.
He's got an interesting look.
Yeah.
Like we said, it kind of looks like Chris Masters.
A little bit Chris Masters, yeah. But I think he's already a better wrestler than Masters. Mike Bennett, he's not up there with a lot of the other Ring of Honor guys yet, but
he could get there.
Yeah, I think he's actually improved a lot just over the last year or two since he's been in Ring of Honor.
And Maria, once again, what a sight
yeah, and
of
course I don't know why Bob Evans wasn't with him. There again, you never know when they're in Canada. Some people sometimes have trouble getting over the border for whatever reason.
Then the cheeseburger makes an appearance.
Yeah, came out and stole a kiss from Maria there.
She looked like she really didn't mind it too much.
Yeah, she acted mad, but almost like because she had to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good old cheeseburger. The next we go to B.J. Whitmer versus Rhett Titus in an I Quit match.
Yes,
to me, this match started off pretty strong, but never really got off the ground.
No, I was hoping for a little bit better, but still, I mean, not bad.
Whitmer handcuffs him to the ropes.
Yeah.
Can't get away.
And then that just kind of leads right into the tag team match between Cliff Compton and Jimmy Jacobs taking on what started out as Michael Elgin and Jay Lethal.
Then Jay Lethal gets hurt midway through the match.
Right.
Hurt.
Yeah, and so Steen comes out.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Big pop for Steen. And, of course, Nigel says, all right, allows it. And so Steen is a mid-match replacement for Lethal.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. There again, when you have Michael Elgin and Jay Lethal involved, I thought it could have been a little bit better, but by no means a disappointment.
Right.
It was a good, exciting match, entertaining. Scum, gets the victory here.
Yeah.
Which I kind of expected. They need to kind of look invincible right now, but of course, they don't look too invincible because Rhett Titus just lost the previous match.
Yeah.
And then the surprise return of Tommaso Ciampa. He cuts a quick promo, and nothing real long and drawn out there, but just kind of making a quick appearance to let people know he's back. And then
we get Eddie Edwards versus Tashi Ishimori, and man, this was a hell of a match here.
Yeah, match of the night in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah, well, Richards London probably came close.
We'll get to that. But this was a lot of back and forth technical wrestling.
Yeah.
Eddie Edwards is great as always. Ishimori is really good. I felt like it could have got a little bit more time.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit short, but not too short. But yeah, I could have maybe another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Would have been nice. But yeah, both these guys just incredible and
awesome.
Put on a great match here. And like you said, Edwards gets the win.
Then we go to Matt Taven defending the TV title against Mark Briscoe, Jay's brother. Which, I mean, I don't know. This was okay.
Yeah, just all right.
Kind of seemed not really a filler, but kind of a filler. I mean,
even though it was a title match,
it didn't really have a title match feel to it, in my opinion. But it was still okay.
Yeah, and Jay, I could kind of buy as a singles. Mark, not as much.
Yeah.
Nothing against Mark.
Yeah.
I think of him as a tag team guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Taven retains with a slight assist. But and then
we go to Davey Richards and the return of Paul London, the Ring of Honor original, and one of my favorites for several years now.
The Intrepid Traveler.
And what a response for Paul London.
Yeah, great response. And man, that stomp by Davey Richards.
Yeah, London was on the ring apron on the outside of it, and Richards jumps off the top rope for the stomp, and literally, I thought his feet went through his chest.
Yeah.
It was the most hellacious stomp I believe I've ever seen.
It was brutal.
I mean, Davey Richards almost had to stop and say, are you okay? You okay?
Yeah, Richards even looked concerned. Man, it was like, oh crap, I think I just killed him.
For a while, for a split second, we thought, well, that's going to be the end of that match.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the stomp from hell.
Yeah, I didn't think London was going to be able to continue, but he toughed it out, man. And
great match, back and forth action.
Richards gets the win, and then both guys show a lot of respect for each other after the match, which was nice to see.
And Richards making that statement about Ring of Honor wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for guys like Paul London.
That's true.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which Davey, he wasn't very cheered when he got to that event.
No,
he never is in Canada.
Yeah, they don't like him in Toronto for whatever reason. But
good match.
Which is kind of surprising to me because he's kind of a throwback to guys like Benoit and Dynamite Kid.
Yeah.
Seems like they would appreciate him there, but
like I said, if those two had a love child, it would be David Richards. It might be.
And then on to the main event, the Ring of Honor World Title match. Jay Briscoe defending against Adam Cole. What'd you think about this one, Ace?
I like this match. I wasn't too sold on Adam Cole going into it, but he was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, Cole's good, man.
He's a young guy, too, isn't he? Really young guy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good years ahead of him if he can stay healthy.
This is kind of one of those matches you kind of knew that Briscoe was going to retain.
Yeah,
which kind of took away a little bit of steam for me personally.
But you know, really the only reason I was pretty sure he was going to was simply because he's only been the champion for a month. Yeah. And I didn't see, you know, after he went through so much to win it and the build-up and everything, I just didn't see him dropping it this soon.
Yeah.
But if he had been the champion for 6 months, I wouldn't have been so sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Cole has, you know, all the tools to do it. I mean, he had a decent run with the TV title not long ago. And he could definitely do it. And, you know, Carino came out there towards the end of the match and tossed a scum shirt to Cole. Looked like Cole was seriously considering it, too. And that was kind of part of what cost him the match, was standing there thinking about it too long.
You kind of get that interference with Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah. But Briscoe, gets the win and retains. And then even after the match, it looked like Cole was thinking about maybe
going for that kick.
Yeah, kicking old Briscoe's head off there until Briscoe turned around real quick and Cole just took off. But all in all, you know, an exciting pay-per-view from Ring of Honor as usual. And next,
Impact.
We're going to go to Impact. Alright, TNA Impact, emanating once again from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Opens up with recaps, I'm not even going to go into that. Then Hulk Hogan comes out to the ring, and he asks Sting to come out. And for one of the only times in his career, Hogan admits that he was wrong and apologizes to Sting about the whole, you know, telling him to get out of the ring and all that stuff, and offers a handshake. The two shake hands, so it seems like, you know, they pretty quickly buried the hatchet there. You know, Sting says it's water under the bridge, and then he says he wants to put a team together to take on Aces and Eights, and you know, Hogan gives him the go-ahead on that. Then Matt Morgan comes out and, you know, starts basically bitching again, but Hogan, you know, tells him, you know, basically hold on a second before you get all worked up. You know, he says that Sting and Morgan are going to wrestle for the top contendership tonight, and whoever wins
gets their title shot at Slammiversary.
Is going to get the shot at Slammiversary against Bully Ray. So we'll look forward to that, and then we take a look back at Chris Sabin's injury.
I watched that live, by the way, too, last summer. That was pretty
when he got hurt.
Yeah.
And you know, they're hyping his return, which I didn't even realize was tonight. You know, they've been hyping the return, but they never really came out and said this. Yeah. And then we see a quick snippet of Kurt Angle backstage talking about his challenge to the Aces and Eights. And then we get the X Division three-way match. Sanjay Dutt versus Zema Ion versus the returning Chris Sabin. Good match. Sabin looked real impressive. I mean, virtually no ring rust at all on this guy. You know, your usual three-way X Division match, but just even a little more level of excitement because of the return of Chris Sabin. Saban gets the win here, so he's put himself right in line for a title shot. Then we see Robbie E. and Jesse Goddard's backstage, and Goddard has a picture of Joey Ryan trying to put him over to Robbie E. They're, I guess, going to team up together. And then we have the Aces and Ace backstage, and Bully is, bitching and moaning about Hogan and Sting, and yeah, and then Kurt Angle, and Bully says he wants Angle taken care of. Briscoe steps up, wants to do it. Bischoff steps up, wants to do it. Then D'Lo says he wants to take care of it, and he swears on his colors that he'll get it done. Yeah, I swear on my colors, bro. So Bully's like, all right, but you better get it done. So,
or else.
Yeah. Then we have the Jesse Goddards, Joey Ryan, Robbie E. versus Rob Terry all by himself in a handicap match. Not much to write home about here. Terry gets the win pretty easily. Then Bobby Roode and Austin Aries are out, and Roode gets on the mic and says that he was kind of distracted last week by Kaz and Daniels and the whole idea of getting Fortune back together, but now he knows it was a farce. And Aries talks a little bit of smack about Daniels and Kazarian, and then out they come, and Daniels gets on the mic and says, they're just a pale imitation of Bad Influence, and they bicker back and forth for a minute, and then out come Chavo and Hernandez, and Chavo says they're tired of all the talk, and Chavo says next week, when Roode and Aries take on Bad Influence, the winners will be top contenders, and the special referee for that match will be Cowboy James Storm.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Then we see Sting walk up to Angle backstage, and he's got a camera following him, but then he closes the door, so obviously they got something brewing there. They're planning something, probably recruiting Angle for his team. Then we see Tara and Gail backstage, nothing important. Then we see Chris Sabin talking about his comeback. And then we get the match between
D'Lo versus Kurt Angle.
Yeah, D'Lo and Kurt
I
Angle.
haven't seen D'Lo wrestle a singles match in a while.
I haven't either, man. I figured he was semi-retired. I guess he is, but it occurred to me, and I hate to even bring this up, but when I was watching D'Lo wrestle, of course he's a little out of shape. He actually had a couple good submission holds during the match, but I've wondered, because he was still young when he pretty much kind of quit. Have you ever wondered if the whole thing with him dropping draws and breaking his neck really just kind of
took the momentum out of him?
Yeah.
Like with him personally, or?
Yeah, like that's part of the reason, like he kind of stepped away, and
yeah, I could see that.
I mean, because
longer after that.
It would me. I mean, he did continue wrestling after that, but I know that would weigh heavy on me.
Yeah.
And but anyway, back to the subject. D'Lo says he's going to do something that no one's ever done before. He's going to beat Angle in an I Quit match. And so then the Aces and Eights come out. They're just watching, though. They don't get involved. Like I said, some decent back and forth. But, Angle gets the win with the ankle lock. And then the Aces and Eights just kind of walk away in disgust. And after the match, Angle gets on the mic and calls out AJ Styles. And, he says he needs to talk to AJ. AJ does finally come out. And he basically tells AJ, that AJ's the reason that Angle came to TNA, because he wanted to wrestle AJ. Mm-hmm. And he tells him that him and Sting are taking on the Aces and Eights, and they want AJ on their side, and he wants an answer next week. Whether we'll actually get it or not, who knows? But then we get a recap of the whole Morgan Sting setup there. Then Morgan backstage getting fired up, says he's going to cut through Sting, and then Bully Ray at Slammiversary. Then we get Tara and Gail Kim versus Taryn Terrell and Mickie James. Yeah. Possibly the most beautiful tag team ever, Taryn and Mickie. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
That might even be hotter than Velvet Sky and Mickie. I don't know, that's a tough call there.
Yeah, flip a coin.
Yeah. Not a terrible match. Taryn Terrell gets the pin on Tara. Then Gail and Tara attack them after the match. Beat up Taryn pretty good there. Then we get a recap of Angle versus D'Lo. Then we see the Aces and Eights backstage, and Bully's really pissed that D'Lo said, "I quit," and he said he'll deal with Devon. Not D'Lo, I'm sorry, D'Lo. It's kind of confusing. Yeah, he's upset about D'Lo quitting, and says he'll deal with that. Then they announce next week it's going to be Devon and Bully and Ken Anderson versus Sting, Angle, and whoever. Then we see a quick clip of Rude and Aries talking about the Top Contenders match. And then we get the main event, the Icon Sting versus Matt Morgan. Not a bad match. A little slow, but that's to be expected between these two guys. Sting gets the win when Morgan passes out to the Scorpion Deathlock. I thought that was a little bit hokey, but okay, whatever.
They still just cannot snap out of 1999, it seems like.
No, putting Sting in the Top Contender position again is just kind of, and I like Sting. I mean, I do, and I don't have a problem with him still wrestling, but being in the world title picture, it's like,
there's a lot of guys right now on TNA that he could be putting over for that number one contender spot.
Guys like Matt Morgan.
Yeah. And that Magnus that they're pushing really hard.
Yeah. And Aces and Eights come out, but they don't do anything here. So that's pretty much Impact. Not terrible, but I still think they have some improvements to make. But all in all, not bad. But that's Impact for this week, and next we're going to move on to SmackDown. Alright, Friday Night SmackDown from Detroit, Michigan. Opens up, we get a recap of Cena Hell No versus The Shield from last Raw. Then Ryback is out, cuts a promo on Cena. Then we get Ryback versus Daniel Bryan. Great showing here by D. Bryan, as always, and he, actually managed to make Ryback look good. And it was a pretty good match. Of course, Ryback gets the win with the shell shock, and he's getting booed pretty heavy. So the brainwashed sheep that are the WWE Universe are already, the same people that were cheering him, through the roof a month ago are booing him
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Then we get a recap of the stipulation match between the managers from last Raw. Then we see Ricardo backstage talking with Renee Young about his match with Coulter tonight, but it's completely in Spanish, so I don't understand a word he said. He was like real hyper and fast too. Then a recap of the dance-off from last week. Then filler. Yeah. Then we get Fandango versus Zack Ryder.
Ryder's been getting a lot of TV time.
Yeah, he has been, which I'm okay with that. He's been jobbing, but at least he's on TV.
Yeah.
Ryder actually put up a decent fight here, but Fandango gets the win, remains undefeated. Then Caitlin backstage getting more gifts and messages from her secret admirer.
Ooh.
Yeah, she walks up to Natalya and Khali, and Natalya says that she always goes to Khali for advice, and he's great at giving advice. And
I don't see how you can make an order at McDonald's.
Yeah, and that's part of like the joke, because he starts giving her advice and you can't understand a word he's saying, and she's kind of looking at him like, okay, kind of humorous. But then we get a look back at World Wish Day, the whole Make-A-Wish Foundation, and which I praised John Cena for last week on the show, and and I'm still not trying to take anything away from that, but now it's kind of like, okay, who you promoting here, the kids or Cena,
Yeah.
Anyhow, then Zeb Coulter and Swagger talking to Renee Young backstage, and Coulter says he was sick Monday, and that's why he lost. Yeah, excuse for getting pinned there.
Yeah.
But he says he will beat Ricardo tonight, and then we get Ricardo Rodriguez versus Zeb Coulter. Ziggler is on commentary. Ricardo's getting the best of Coulter here. Then Swagger runs in and just clotheslines the hell out of Ricardo. Of course, that gets Coulter DQ'd. Then Teddy comes out. It just turns into a mess here. Teddy Long comes out and says, okay, that's how y'all want to play it. I'm going to turn it into a tag match. So then it turns into Ricardo and Del Rio versus Swagger and Coulter. Well, that doesn't get very far before Big E and Ziggler interfere for whatever reason, just for the hell of it. So then Teddy comes out again and turns it into a triple threat tag team match between Ricardo, Del Rio, Swagger, Coulter, and Ziggler, Big E. Alright, so after all that mess, it actually turned out to be a somewhat entertaining match, not too bad. Del Rio makes Ziggler tap to the crossarm bar, break or whatever. It's like, okay, the world champions tapped twice.
50-50, win 1 week, lose another
Yeah. Then we see the Shield cut a promo after assaulting. Well, you hear them like beating somebody up first, but it's dark and you can't really see. Then they cut their promo, and then it pans down and you see it's Daniel Bryan laying at their feet. And he actually requires a little bit of medical attention there from the trainers. Then we get Randy Orton versus Damian Sandow. Decent showing by Sandow. It wasn't as good as Cody Rhodes versus Orton from last week, but decent. Of course, Superman 2, Orton wins.
It's Iron Man, not Superman.
With the RKO.
Yes.
But then Big Show comes out and starts cutting a promo on Orton, and Sandow gets a shot in on Orton, so that was kind of funny. Then we see Kane coming out of the trainer's room, and Stryker asks him how Daniel Bryan's condition is. Kane says he will make the Shield pay for what they did to Daniel Bryan and what they did to Undertaker. Then we get Mark Henry versus Sheamus in an arm wrestling match. I guess a step up from Tug of War, but
there's only one way to go from that.
Yeah, Mark Henry wins, but then Sheamus is like, okay, well, let's go left-handed. I don't think you can take me left-handed. And he finally talks him into it, and as soon as they start going, he just punches Henry right in the face, and then Bro kicks him. So he gets over on Henry again there.
Imagine that.
Then we get a recap of the Shield Undertaker situation. And then we get Kane versus Dean Ambrose. Kane attacks all 3 members of the Shield to start out with there, and then after things kind of settle, we get a decent match. Kane gets Ambrose in position for the Tombstone, but the Shield distracts Kane, allowing Ambrose to get the win. All 3 Shield members go after Kane after the match, beat him up, and then they hoist up the tag team titles as the show goes off the air. Not a terrible SmackDown.
SmackDown used to be good.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
Yeah, many moons ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's SmackDown for this week, and then we're going on to Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
Alright, now we're going to Raw live Monday night, and we start off by seeing a little bit of security footage of Heyman and Lesnar at WWE headquarters. That seemed kind of fake and phony, didn't it to you?
Yeah, and it's showing little stills and everything. I mean, I don't know.
We'll get to that. Then the one and only, the best wrestler in the history of the world, John Cena, makes his way out to the crowd.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's hard. It's hard to sit through this shit.
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can hardly take it anymore, man. And
I hope Ryback beats him at Extreme Rules, please.
he won't.
It was just...
Yeah, it's like, just please make it
And
stop.
then these little childish remarks. And when Ryback comes out, and he makes these little childish little
he's like
smart-ass comments.
10-year-old, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my God, you're not funny, you're not witty, you're not cute.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess 8-year-olds might find it humorous, but
I just don't even know what to say. I mean,
and he's doing the yes/no Daniel Bryan thing. Why, I don't know.
He has to use somebody else's chant or whatever.
Yeah.
To get a reaction, because he's just so stale and dry now that nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, Vicky comes out and she tells Ryback to come out. She gives each man a chance to say which stipulation they would like at Extreme Rules, and of course Cena just childishly mocks Ryback, and actually has the nerve to call Ryback a whiner, and a complainer.
Well, he gets 30 minutes on Raw every week.
Yeah, and like I said, spent a solid year whining and crying that he lost to The Rock.
Yeah.
But Cena basically says he doesn't care what the stipulation is, and so that allows basically Ryback to pick the stipulation, which was stupid.
He goes for the last man standing match.
Last man standing match.
Which, I don't know. Could be okay. I mean, I don't give a shit how good the match is. If Ryback beats Cena, it could be the worst match I've ever seen, but it would make it all worth it if Cena just loses the belt.
He's not going to beat Cena.
We can only hope.
No, I'd say this title reign is going to last probably close to a solid year.
Oh, God.
Because he didn't hold it for so long.
He's got to make up all the time that he didn't hold it.
Exactly. Yeah, he has to vindicate himself.
Well, before I throw up my mouth.
So buckle up and get ready for a long reign.
Let's get on with this. Then we get the WWE employees tweeting about this sighting of Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman at WWE headquarters.
It's like a Bigfoot sighting.
Yeah, that was probably recorded 2 weeks ago. Then we get Randy Orton versus Damian Sandow, and I must admit, Sandow's parody of Randy Orton's song on his way to the ring was very hilarious. I know you liked it.
Oh, I laughed. I almost cried. I laughed so hard.
But you just knew that Orton was going to beat his ass.
Yeah, you know that Sandow's going to do the job here, and it was just an okay match. But something I got to point out: why do they keep calling the middle rope DDT vintage Orton?
He didn't really even start doing it until just a few years ago, anyway.
But is there really any such thing as vintage Orton? He's not even old enough to be vintage yet.
They're so short on talent right now that they got to build up the seasoned talent as being big stars.
And I guess he has been wrestling longer than it seems like. To me, the years just fly by. Yeah. He's been wrestling for a decade now, if not longer. But
11 years in WWE.
Just, vintage Orton just sounds funny to me. And if that's vintage Orton, everything Orton does is vintage Orton. The RKO is vintage Orton too. You know what I mean? It's just
Still better than Cena.
Oh, any day. I mean, I'd much rather watch Orton than Cena. Yeah, I'd rather watch.
Shit, chickens.
Yeah, yeah. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch John Cena.
Okay, match. Not as good as Orton and Rhodes last week.
Oh no.
But then Big Show assaults Randy Orton at the top of the ramp after the match, kind of furthering their feud
Yeah.
further. I'm sure you liked Randy Orton lay there in a lifeless mess.
I thought it was great. Just Big Show just pops around the corners, boom, just knocks him out cold. That was, I like that.
But still
a lot.
no stipulation. I mean, they really haven't even announced the match yet, but we know there's going to be a match.
Right.
I'm just curious what stipulation you think it would be. Any idea?
They don't have a Hell in a Cell match on that card yet.
Yeah. But it seems like they only say that for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which is silly to me.
Anymore, yeah. And they do have a cage match on the card.
Yeah.
So I guess they probably wouldn't have two cages. That'd be kind of hard to do logistically.
Yeah.
But, maybe, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah. I would say Last Man Standing, but they've already got that one.
Yeah.
So,
And
I don't know.
later.
Could be interesting to see what that is going to be.
Then we see Fandango backstage, and I know you're going to be excited about this. He's got his original girl back.
Yes!
She's looking fine.
She's back!
As can be.
Yeah, I thought, after 3 weeks now with the blonde, I thought she was going to end up taking the spot permanently.
Yeah.
But now the original girl's back, finally.
He's not a one-woman man.
No, I guess he has a revolving door there. But
then we get a recap of Jericho stealing his girl, the last one, which was
the
hilarious
blonde,
a couple weeks ago. Then Jericho comes out and calls him all those funny names out there.
Fondumbo was the one that really got me, man.
He got a good reaction from the crowd, Jericho.
Yeah.
And then they have the panel of judges, which consists of Tensa, or what's
Sweet Tea.
Sweet Tea, and Brodus Clay and Jericho. Then we have R-Truth versus Fandango. What do you think of this match here?
I mean, it barely got started, really. And R-Truth wins by count out here, which, so technically Fandango's not undefeated anymore, but they'll still just play the whole, well, he hasn't been pinned.
Yeah. Jericho held up the one.
Yeah.
I think it would have been funny if he held up a negative. Something negative. Not a negative 10, it's like a negative 3.
Well, Fandango took a shot at him, being, hey, just because you got, kicked off Dancing with the Stars, you're jealous of me. Who are you to be judging me? But that was kind of funny.
If I was Jericho, I'd be like, let's not backstage. I'd be like, let's not
Yeah.
bring that up.
But, that match was just kind of a way for R-Truth and Fandango to neither one really lose any steam or, anything.
But yet for no match announced the next pay-per-view for either one.
Yeah. Then another look at the whole Heyman Lesnar at WWE headquarters.
Yeah.
Another recap of Ryback versus Daniel Bryan at SmackDown. Then the assault, of course, by the Shield. Then we see Daniel Bryan speaking with Josh Matthews backstage. He says he's fine, and to prove it, he's challenging Ryback to a rematch tonight. But Kane comes up and, says that, no, I'm sorry. Ryback comes up and says that even if Bryan was healthy, he's half the man that he is. And then Kane comes up and says, hey, what about me? You didn't call me half the man. And
he was setting himself up there.
yeah. Basically, he got called old by Ryback there. Then next we got Ziggler versus Del Rio.
Once again, though,
To me, I mean, hey,
it was a good match.
Good match, yeah. But here's the thing for me. I think it kind of takes steam out of the upcoming pay-per-view match.
All they've been doing is continually facing each other.
Yeah,
all three.
I mean,
and it's just like, God, we've seen it before when we get to the big triple threat match.
Right.
And right,
you've seen these three guys wrestle each other so many times over the past month that it's kind of like, why pay $50 to see them wrestle again?
Yeah.
I mean,
with a ladder in the match that they probably won't even use that much, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of it makes the pay-per-view match not seem as important. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's a good match, and I like both these guys, and I'm glad I get to see a quality match on the show. But have them wrestle somebody else and
make them look strong there.
Yeah, instead of having to job one of them out, make them both look strong. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Del Rio controls most of the match.
Nice reverse superplex.
Yeah, real nice. I liked that a lot. Swagger and Coulter come out, of course, and Coulter gets on commentary. Then Ziggler gets some offense going, and so it's a good match. But then as Del Rio has Ziggler in the cross arm breaker, Langston yanks Del Rio out of the ring and throws him into Swagger, which was pretty funny. But that gets Ziggler DQ'd. Yeah. Then Swagger kicks the hell out of Langston and then grabs a ladder and hits Ricardo, Ziggler, and Del Rio.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I don't guess either guy really lost a lot of face there, but still it's kind of like, then
more recaps.
More recaps.
Ryback and Cena.
Then another look at the whole Lesnar-Heyman thing. And they say we're going to get exclusive footage from Heyman via satellite tonight.
Cool.
Yeah, can't wait. Then we see Stephanie McMahon announcing a partnership with Yahoo. And
they just got to plug all their shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's just...
How far away from wrestling can we really get in 3 hours?
And they're going to have a half-hour pre-show on Yahoo for Raw. It's like...
It's already too much anyway.
It's a 3-hour show that has about a half hour of substance.
Yeah.
Do you really need a half-hour pre-show for the 2.5 hours of fluff and garbage? I'm usually home on Monday nights, but I still DVR Raw and do other stuff, and then come back and watch later so I can fast forward through not just the commercials, but just all the pointless garbage and nonstop recaps and 5-minute ring entries, and
we're doing a show that has nothing to do with wrestling next month. Then
we're
doing something that has nothing to do with wrestling next month. Then the movie's coming out which has nothing to do with wrestling next month.
Yeah, and then at some point in the night they plugged the Divas reality show again, which I just
Good God.
But then we see Caitlyn backstage
with the Funkadactyls.
The Funkadactyls and Natalya. Talking about the whole secret admirer. She's getting more texts from him, and they're basically saying, hey, that's what you call a stalker, because she doesn't even know who he is. So they send Khali to investigate, see if he can find anything out in the men's locker room. But I guess we'll see how that turns out.
Does anybody really give a shit?
But, then after they all walk away, the Bellas come out from behind the curtain, like, are they the secret admirer? Is it all just a big joke on Caitlyn there?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Let me take this next one if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
A comment I want to make here. The Shield versus the Usos and Kofi, which face value looks to be a good match. Good 6-man tag match.
Yeah.
Did I hear this correctly? Did JBL
I know what you're about to
say that the Shield will be better than the Freebirds and the Four Horsemen in the NWO?
He did say that, and
they've gone way out in the fucking field with this shit.
It's like, come on now, man. I understand you're trying to push these guys, but that's really an insult to those three groups. The Freebirds, the Horsemen, and the NWO. Now, the NWO got kind of convoluted and died 3 times. And
their peak, they were hot.
But, that was one of the greatest angles ever.
Yeah.
And the Horsemen, in my opinion, the best faction ever, period.
Agreed.
And the Freebirds,
right up there too.
Yeah, right up there with them, and really the creators of the whole three-man group kind of thing with the, I mean, there's even something called the Freebird Rule in wrestling, and it's, I mean, and those groups were together for years and years.
And that's nothing against the Shield.
Nothing against the Shield at all. I like the Shield. But like I said, to compare them to those greats, you know, I mean, it's almost insulting. Yeah. And I'm sure JBL was fed that line. Yeah. You know, I'm sure he didn't pull that out of his ass. Yeah. JBL was probably like, oh, God, do I really have to say this?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they more or less had to put a gun to his head backstage. That's going a little too far there. Shield gets the win.
Yeah, decent match. You know, the Usos and Kofi didn't look too bad. Kofi especially. But, yeah, the Shield gets the win. And
another look at the Heyman and Lesnar saga.
Yeah.
We know they're there, okay?
Yeah.
So stop. We got it. Now, here we get to, I don't know, shit. Antonio Cesaro, who now sports a beret.
Yeah. It's like, why don't they just put a clown nose on him?
Yeah. Oh, God.
But at least
he got the win.
And like I said, now that he's dropped the U.S. title, maybe he won't have to job all the time, which is stupid.
This is against Zack Ryder.
Yeah,
on TV.
I like Ryder. He's a good athletic guy, entertaining.
And he actually Cesaro did a pretty good promo.
Yeah.
After the match.
Yeah. I liked that. You know,
it's kind of like a day late and a dollar short now, though.
Yeah. I mean, because you done made him look like a buffoon and jobbed him out the whole time he was U.S. champion. And, of course, the stupid sheep in the crowd saying, "What? What?" It infuriates me. Words cannot describe how much that irritates me. But anyhow.
Another look at the Heyman and Lesnar segment.
Yeah.
At the headquarters.
Then we finally go to Heyman via satellite for the big reveal of this exclusive footage. And all it is 20 minutes of garbage. They go to the headquarters. They go
push a few flunkies around.
Yeah, push some office workers around. They're probably just actors. and then
I read a line that's like they told the WWE staff to be cool.
Yeah,
act like this is really happening. You know, act like you're really shocked by this.
Yeah,
it's like give me a break.
And then they go up to the 4th floor to Triple H's office, and of course on their way they're making fun of all the different wrestlers' posters on the walls and stuff, and Heyman points out that there's no Brock Lesnar posters.
Why would there be? It's
WWE. But then they go to Triple H's office, which obviously he's not there, and there's a sledgehammer hanging on the wall, and like an angry 10-year-old child who didn't get what he wanted for his birthday. And
the sad thing is there's some suckers out there that really got worked so hard that they really think that that's Triple H's office.
Yeah. Lesnar takes a sledgehammer and trashes the place. And, feels real good about himself. It's like...
he beat up a TV.
Yeah, big deal, dude. I mean, yeah, you beat up a TV and a belt. You're real good at beating up inanimate objects. Wow. And then... while this is all still going on, Heyman starts to rant, and then Triple H's music hits. He comes out to the ring.
Got a pretty good reception.
Yeah, of course, and he's talking back and forth with Heyman on the Titantron, which I've always... So, obviously, Heyman, of course, Heyman's probably there in a back room somewhere. Yeah. But, they're trying to say it's via satellite or via satellite, however you want to say it. And, Heyman's on the Titantron looking at Triple H in the ring. So it's like, okay, so obviously you've got not only a camera on you, Heyman, you've got a monitor watching the show. Because you can't see through the Titantron, I mean, it doesn't work like that. So, they have an exchange there, and You know, basically Triple H tells him, hey, he don't care about the office. He's got another office, and it's in the ring. And, you know, he's not hard to find. And if Lesnar has something to say to him, just come say it to his face. And basically that was a colossal waste of airtime.
Do you ever just stop and just ask yourself, what the hell am I doing still watching this shit?
Yeah, every week. But, you know, like I said, there's about a half hour worth watching out of the 3 hour show.
That wasn't part of it.
No.
Then we get a recap of the D. Bryan Ryback Kane thing from earlier. Then we get AJ and the Bellas, oh the Bellas, versus Caitlyn and the Funkadactyls. And the Bellas ditch AJ. Caitlyn wins with the spear. Another colossal waste of time on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I mean, and it's nothing against the girls. I mean, but it was pointless. Then Mark Henry comes out and cuts a promo, and I loved this because as he's cutting his promo, once again the idiots start chanting, "What?"
He calls them a bunch of
What?
puppets.
Yeah, he stops like, "You are a bunch of puppets."
Hey, I think Mark Henry's very entertaining.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was great, but I think he's just overall a very entertaining character right now. I think they're doing really well with him, and I think he's pretty damn good on the mic.
Yeah.
You know,
And like I said, man, Henry's paid his dues, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd really like to see him have another title run before it's all said.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I would. Not usually the style of wrestler that I like, but there again, like I said, he's paid his dues. He's put his time in. I mean,
he's put up with a circus act.
who's been on the roster longer than Mark Henry?
Nobody.
He has to be.
Other than Triple H, of course.
Right. But I mean, Triple H is part-timer now at best.
Jericho was on and off.
Yeah. But Henry was there before Jericho.
Yeah. 2 or 3 years. 3 years, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean,
the shit that poor man's been through, the transvestite blowjob, and the birth of a hand by Mae Young, remember that one?
yeah.
God.
So, Henry challenges Sheamus to a match at Extreme Rules. Doesn't name the stipulation yet. Sheamus comes out, and then basically Henry's like, "Hey, we don't have to wait," and then they're ready to go, but
Fella.
yeah, out comes Barrett because he has a match with Sheamus.
And Henry gets on commentary.
Yeah, which was also funny because he keeps telling Cole to shut up. He say you're all ate up with stupid. He tells Cole like 3 times to shut up, and Cole just won't shut up. So finally, he just takes off the headphones because he can't take it anymore.
And when I was watching this match, when he's on commentary, I kept thinking to myself, maybe when Henry retires, I know this is kind of crazy, but it kept crossing my mind. Mark Henry could be like the Charles Barkley of commentating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he really could. Yeah. He really could. Yeah, I can see that. But of course, I'm still, and I know it's just a pipe dream, it'll never happen, but I'm still like holding out a little bit of hope for like a reformed Nation of Domination.
I like the Nation.
But like make Teddy Long the leader, the manager role.
About Booker.
Booker, maybe, but see, Teddy and Booker are kind of at odds right now. Yeah. So that would actually be a kind of a good opportunity to do it. Teddy says, "Screw you," puts together the new Nation, and put Henry in there, put R-Truth in there, and turn Kofi Hill, put him in there.
Big E, Big E and Dolph and AJ. Or do you just take Big E? Because I could see Dolph.
Well, Big E would get fed up with being Ziggler's lackey, turn on him, and join the Nation. Yeah. That would be a hell of a group right there.
Yeah. But that makes too much sense for them.
They won't do that. And I know it's kind of rehashing an idea, but
still be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Would you keep them the Nation, or would you call them something else?
I would probably call them the new Nation.
Yeah.
As a reference to the Nation of Domination, but also that it's new. Of course, a lot of times the new version of things don't work. You had like the new Midnight Express, the new Rockers. Yeah. It doesn't work. So maybe just call them the Nation. But I think they would be a cool group.
I think that group had a lot of potential that was never reached because it became such a catalyst for The Rock that the group itself just got kind of thrown by the wayside.
Yeah, I thought. Well, and of course, a lot of people forget that the Nation started out with before it became like exclusively a African American group. It was
Crush was in there.
Crush, Savio Vega, and Ron Simmons, aka Farouk, was the leader, and D'Lo was just kind of a
flunky.
A flunky. Yeah.
Kama Mustafa.
Well, Kama didn't join until later. Because I remember Farouk just came out on Raw one night and said, "Hey, look, I put this group together, and these guys are supposed to watch my back.
Yeah.
And basically, they're not getting the job done." So right then and there, he fires Crush and Savio Vega, kicks them out of the Nation, and that's when they formed the Disciples of the Apocalypse and the Los Boricuas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember
And,
those days.
That's how that whole...
Was it late 97, somewhere around
Something like that.
Yeah.
That was how those three factions ended up at war with each other.
Yeah.
And that's when it became... He called out D'Lo, he called out Kama Mustafa, and, D'Lo thought he was going to be done, but D'Lo got to stay in the group. And, they were feuding with Ahmed Johnson, and then Ahmed Johnson joined for a minute, and he wasn't in the group any time at all before they kicked him back out. But, then when The Rock came in, and then later, even after they kicked out Farouk, Owen Hart was a member for a brief time there.
And Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark Henry, so with Mark Henry being in the new Nation, that would be connection to the old Nation.
I was probably in the minority, but I was always for the Nation over DX back in the days.
I was a DX guy. I'm not
I guess
gonna
I
lie.
was just a Rock fan so much that it's my influence.
I'm not gonna lie. I like DX, man. But anyhow, I kind of got off the subject there.
Then we go to what's that? Sheamus and
Barrett.
match.
Yeah, finally get started there, and
Sheamus acts like he's going to throw Barrett into Henry. Henry falls out of the chair.
that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Then he kicks the hell out of him.
Yeah. Barrett jobs out.
Barrett jobs, of course. Your Intercontinental Champion jobbing again to.
It's just, we're numb to it now.
Yeah, he goes out to possibly the shittiest bro kick I've ever seen. Which, and I'm not a Sheamus hater, but that was terrible.
Then Mark Henry just whips the dog shit out of him with a belt. Which I was standing up clapping, cheering. Ooh, man, I was hot for that.
And see, I'm wondering if that's...
strap match.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, a sign of things to come.
Which, that could be cool.
Could be, yeah. The old-fashioned leather strap match, put it up on a pole where they have to get it out one of the corners.
Here's the thing. Sheamus, he's had his little run. Ryback's on the tail end of his career. Let him go over on Sheamus. Let him have, a few months of steam. He beat Ryback at WrestleMania. Let him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. He beat the hell out of him with that belt and then gave him a world's strongest slam out on the outside. Then a recap of Lesnar trashing Triple H's office. Why we need to see that again, I don't know. Then Kane versus Ryback. And of course, once again, like I said, all the sheep that are programmed to cheer and boo whoever the same people that were cheering Ryback, like you said, less than a month ago, are booing him now because they're just brainwashed and do what they're told. We want you to like Ryback, you're going to like Ryback. We don't want you to like Ryback, now you boo him.
Yeah.
Form your own opinions, people.
Yeah.
Ryback wins with the shell shock, Then out comes the Shield. Then out comes Daniel Bryan to aid Kane. Ryback bails out on him, of course. And then out comes Superman, John Cena. And then Ryback comes back in with a chair and, clears the ring, but then nails Cena with the chair. I enjoyed that part.
Too.
But man, you know, Raw's gotten to the point where I can barely watch it.
Well, you know, there once was a time when Raw had that original creative sense and feel.
Yeah.
You know, we remember those days. Now it just seems all like Hollywood and stage. And everything's got to be clean and you know edited. It just seems it doesn't have that live raw feel.
Yeah, and it's not the performers, it's the product.
Yeah.
You know, they
won't let them do what they can do.
They have plenty of good wrestlers on the roster. It just they don't use them, man. And you know, like we said before, instead of using the 3 hours to push new talent, they're just using it to watch videos of guys tearing up an office
and plug their stupid straight to DVD B movies.
Yeah, give me a break, man. But, you know, that does it for Raw. It is what it is. And now it's time for the Week in Wrestling History segment.
This week in wrestling history.
Okay, this week in wrestling history. Pretty good one this week. This week in 1984. World Class Championship Wrestling held the very first ever David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions. And that was their biggest gate ever. Over 43,000 people.
This was the outdoor one, right?
Yeah, in Texas Stadium. Over 43,000 people. And you know, of course, you know, David Von Erich had died under mysterious circumstances over in Japan, which still to this day really hasn't been explained. You know, you got one camp that says it was drugs and another camp that says it was some sort of stomach infection. Yeah. I guess, you know, we'll never really know the truth of what happened there, but, you know, I guess it doesn't really matter. The point was that he was gone, and you know, David was pretty much universally considered the best of the Von Erich brothers, and he was the first in a long line of tragic losses for, you know, that family. But yeah, the first ever Parade of Champions, you know, was a huge event, and you know, that was before the first WrestleMania. And that was the card where Kerry Von Erich beat Ric Flair for the world title. Very good, exciting match, and one of the...
It's an emotional match.
Yeah, very emotional, and one of the biggest ovations I've ever seen. Like,
period.
Period, ever. Like, there... And, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what it was like being there. But, I mean, it came across, even just watching it on film, just, I mean, that place just exploded when he pinned Flair for that belt. And of course his reign ended up being short. He only held the belt for, you know, 3 weeks, I think, before he...
It's good, though. People always remember that moment rather than the reign.
Right, yeah. It was
rare, but important.
Yeah. But a huge moment in wrestling history. And like I said, unfortunately, that was, you know, actually probably the bright spot for the Von Erichs in world class wrestling. You know, after that, it was downhill. Yeah, I mean, just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy in that family, and you know, Kevin's the only one left today. And but anyhow, that's that for this week's show. Don't forget, we've got an email address set up. We'd love to hear your comments, questions, topics of discussion, you know, anything. And it's not too late also to get those entries in for the t-shirt contest.
They're rolling in.
Yeah.
Got a lot of them so far.
You know, and if you missed last week's show, what we want you to do is just go to our Facebook page, like the page, and then send us a pic of yourself doing your best wrestling pose, whatever it may be, you know, and Even if you got like a wrestling outfit to throw on or a belt to throw over your shoulder, or if you want to like add a wrestling name to yourself or whatever, it's just all in good fun. And we would just we'd like to get those entries, and we're going to give away a T-shirt next week. We'll be announcing the winner, but it's not too late to get those entries in. Like I said, anything you want to let us know about or talk about, or even if you have critiques for us, just let us know. The address is tpwshow@gmx.com. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. But that's all the time we've got for this week. For Mr. Ace Larson, I'm Electric Eric Davidson. We'll see you next time.